Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger and I'm going to be going over the new patch notes for the December 5th update for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'm going to be going over a lot of the bigger changes. There's going to be a lot of smaller stuff. I'm not going to go over every single detail because the patch notes are quite large. You will find a full list link in the video description here for every single change. And let's go over one of the big ones right off the bat here, which is Reality Stone. So Reality Stone, it's getting nerfed but also kind of a side buff as well. So on frame 8 is when Reality Stone comes out, so that is now being changed to frame 20. So it will be take twice as long for it to come out as for when it used to. And also, the length of the move has changed. So it is on the screen for 120 seconds. That's 2 full seconds. 120 frames rather. Sorry. So that's like 2 full seconds basically. So it is being changed to 90 frames. So it is getting its duration cut a little bit. Now, however, on the buff side, well, buff slash nerf, it's you can consider it either way, but the move is becoming faster. So the Reality Stone will get to where it's going much quicker than it does right now as you see it. Now, one thing, this was definitely a very asked for change, is Reality Stone is now also going away if the person who used Reality Stone gets hit. So no more, I hit Reality Stone, you hit me in the head, but you get hit by the Reality Stone anyways. The move also takes a bit longer to home. So normally, no matter where we are, it starts homing immediately. So it will still go in the direction of the opponent no matter where you are. So that part's unchanged. But for the ball to start arcing and curving towards the foe, that will take a smidge longer to get to where it's going. Now, next up, the duration of the old Space Stone Rage Cage. That is being shortened. It is only being shortened a little bit, but still, you know, significant. So it says here in the patch notes, it says when it's at 50%, so when your duration bar is exactly at 50%, so you know you activate it as soon as possible, it'll go from 10 seconds to 8 seconds, and at 100% storm bar, it'll go from 20 seconds to 16 seconds. Now next up, I think I'm reading this one correctly, and if true, it's a very, very big deal for a lot of teams, is that crumple state knockdowns will now be able to be rolled. So say we're Thor, right? And we do something like this. We go da da da. And the whole reason that's so strong is because, you know, you can air recover a little bit, but you basically got to land where Thor just planted you, no rolling possible. So that's a lot of post-knockdown pressure happen. So the way I'm reading it, and I'll just read it exactly as it's written here. Can roll forwards, backwards after crumple. And they describe crumple as a unique form of knockdown that affects the character upon landing on the ground after being hit in the air by certain moves. So that, to me, makes sense that it's that, and that's massive implications for characters like Thor and a lot of other characters, a lot of teams that have these kind of setups, because it's basically gonna, you know, kind of kill the setup. So no more, you know, guaranteed gimmicks, you know, oh, I go for a pile driver right after that or something like that. It's kind of a big deal if that's the way it's written. Now, this next change affects push block and affects kind of big beam supers like this, or just protracted lockdown kind of stuff. So if you are in the same block animation, so you know you're just blocking for over 300 frames, after that push block will begin to push the enemy backwards. So normally, you know, like push block, you know, that's not moving Iron Man backwards anyway, right? But if somehow has managed to get like lockdown after lockdown, beam super tag, beam super whatever, after that point it will start pushing the enemy back. Now for the character specific stuff, good old Dante, you knew this was coming. It's kind of funny because right before this broke, and I was actually prepping a tier list video, which, you know, good old Dante was definitely the king of the mountain, so I'm going to throw that out there. No, I'm not going to bother with that video. But I'm not even going to go over every single thing here because there's so many. Like, once again, check the video description, but here's the big ones. Now, Dante is a low health character. He is no longer an average health character, he's a low health character. On top of these things, many moves also have less active frames, so like a lot of his normals, that's now down to 3 active frames from 4. Stand Fierce Punch is down to 2 active frames from 3. Uppercut, same deal, now 3 active frames instead of 4. A lot of his hurt boxes have been changes, or rather the hit boxes for the moves, to make him a little less dominant. Damage has been lowered mostly across the board. Now this in of itself is not even really a bad thing. Due to the way the combo structure works in this game, it just means you might have to do a couple more hits to get to the end of your combo. but the damage nerfs only truly affect, like, you know, the odd stray hit. But for your combos, don't worry, you might have to retweak your combo to get a couple more hits, but that's not really going to change too much. Now, Dormammu also got some nerfs. It's not a whole page-long ordeal like Dante's is, and it's very small and for the most part pretty reasonable, but here's the big, big, big one. Everyone knows, everyone loves, everyone hates. Good old Thorns, the old Rose Garden, right? So first off, the duration of the move has been cut, I'd say, by about 35%. It's originally 180 frames on screen, now it is 101 frames. And now here's the real big one. So, if you watch any of my videos, I have two different videos up. How do you be able to like push block and escape the animation and all that. So now, when Dormammu gets hit, Thorns go away. So there's no, you manage to escape, you hit Dormammu, and you re-land and you get comboed anyway, that's gone. You hit Dormammu, Thorns are gone. Now, talking about nerfs is a bit depressing, so let's talk buffs. And good old Chris Redfield, he's got buffs. Now, it's mostly in the form of damage, but Shotgun does more damage. SMG does more damage. Magnum does more damage. And also, say you do your final shot of Magnum and do the auto reload right here. Now, instead of adding 1 bullet, as you see there, it's now going to add 3. Grenades do more damage, so all good. Super, the grenade launcher super, even does a smidge more damage. Now, another thing to quickly mention here about the Magnum. It says here that the projectile will not disappear even when cancelled out. So, if I'm reading that correctly, it means, you know, one of the dire faults of the Magnum was always something like this. Couldn't even beat Reality Stone, right? So, if I'm reading that correctly, it should be able to go through Reality Stones now and come out the other end. And if true, that is a major, major, major win for Chris, and honestly will completely change how he plays out. Now, Ultron. Ultron, also nerfed, only has 2 changes, but I feel they're very 2 key changes. First up, his super move, his super command grab, is no longer invincible, and with that gone, that means his only form of invincibility is now in his level 3. So defensively, that kind of hurts him. And now the big one, and if you play Ultron, you love it, and if you play against Ultron, I know you hate it, and that's the old Jump Fierce Punch. So, that kind of says it all right there. Even when it looks like you completely whiff, and you have no business hitting the opponent, it'll still hit. So now that move has a smaller hitbox and an increased hurt box, meaning it'll be easier to hit Ultron out of it. So, the days of just going kind of brain dead with a air dash Fierce Punch are going to be gone for Ultron, I'm sorry to say. Now, for Sigma, this one's just a bug fix, but it's one of my favorite bugs, so I'm kind of sad to see it go, which was turning the eye lasers invulnerable. So if you manage to cancel out the right frame, the eye laser and manage to like just completely disappear while still hitting the enemy, as you can see right there. So that's a bug fix, you know, never meant to work that way. It did. Sad to see it go, but it's totally understandable. Now, Strider Hiryu, the big change for him is his Gram, and that's just the big sword swing if you're not familiar with it. And this is both for ground and aerial versions as well. So now the knockdown time has gone from 60 frames to 20, so it's definitely been massively cut in half. So I'm assuming this is to prevent the HP sword loops in the corner, if you've ever seen some combos involving sword loops. So that's a bit unfortunate, but overall his game plan is still mostly the same, so in the end it's not too critical of a big deal. Zero, the 2 most notable changes here are Ryujin, that's the uppercut. It did not have full invincibility, but did have partial invincibility. So that partial invincibility has been cut even further from 4 frames to 2 frames. So it's still, the move is still incredibly useful, don't get me wrong, right? But now it's not quite a blunt object, and he will not quite get as lucky as he used to just randomly spamming it out. And now on that exact same note, Jinsho, that's the Hurricane super here. As it's written, it says decreased invincibility from 9 frames after black screen to 1 frame. So the way I'm choosing to read this is simply the startup is now just 1 frame. I'm assuming they refer to black screen as the startup cinematic. So it drastically will cut the usefulness down of this move as a panic move. But I always felt it a bit strong that he had such a move, considering he's a low health pixie with incredible rushdown and mix-ups. So, you know, I'd say, for me anyways, I don't play Zero, fair game. Maybe for you, you find that a bit unfortunate, but oh well. And that's the end of this video. Now, I did not cover these notes entirely. There's still some character stuff. But for the characters I didn't cover, they're mostly just small tweaks. They're, to me anyways, not too big of a deal. But absolutely, if a character you played was not covered here, go check it out in the notes, which once again, the link will be in the video description. And there is some general things I did skip over because they're a little more esoteric. I feel like I covered the bigger ones, but once again, please go check yourself. But anyways, that's it for this video. I hope it found you well. Go out and play some Marvel.